Most people never lose to the world, they lose to the quiet disorder within their own lives, long before they ever realize it. Ladies and gentlemen, there comes a time in every life when a person must pause, look quietly at the world around them, and then turn inward to examine the world within. For it is there, in the small ordinary moments of each day, that our destinies are shaped. Most people believe their lives are determined by luck, circumstance, or the actions of others. But the truth is far simpler and far more powerful. A man's life rises or falls according to the order he brings to it. Where there is confusion, progress withers. Where there is structure, achievement grows. And the difference between those who wander and those who rise is not talent, not chance, but the deliberate organization of one's time, one's environment, and one's mind. In the minutes ahead, I'd like to share with you a quiet truth, one that has shaped every success story in history. When you bring order to your life, you unlock the extraordinary power that has always been waiting within you. Let us explore that power together. Order is the quiet architect behind every great achievement, though most people overlook it because it lacks the excitement of sudden inspiration or the drama of grand ambition. Yet if you were to examine the life of any man or woman who has risen beyond average results, you would find that the true cause of their progress was not a stroke of luck, nor an unusual talent, but the deliberate structure they brought to their days. Human potential, by its very nature, is vast, but it remains dormant until it is given a channel through which to flow. Order is that channel. It transforms scattered energy into directed force, turns vague intentions into measurable results, and gives every effort a place, a purpose, and a rhythm. Most people imagine success as a moment of revelation, a single breakthrough, or a fortunate opportunity. But the truth is far more practical and far more empowering. Achievement is built brick by brick through the consistent arrangement of one's time, one's thoughts, and one's priorities. Order is not a small habit, it is the framework that supports all other habits. Without it, even the brightest ideas collapse under their own weight. A man may have remarkable dreams, but if his life is disorganized, those dreams remain suspended in the realm of possibility, never crossing into reality. But when he establishes order, he gives his ambitions a structure strong enough to carry them forward. The mind performs best when it knows where it is going and what must be done. Disorder places the mind in a constant state of reaction, where one task interrupts another, and days pass without a sense of direction or accomplishment. Order, on the other hand, invites clarity. It tells the mind, here is what matters, here is when it will be done, and here is how you will proceed. This simple clarity produces a remarkable effect. Stress diminishes, focus sharpens, confidence increases. Suddenly the individual finds himself moving with a sense of purpose rather than drifting through a fog of impulses and distractions. Order also instills a powerful sense of self-respect. When you organize your life, you demonstrate to yourself that your time is valuable, your goals are meaningful, and your environment must reflect the person you intend to become. You begin to realize that order is not merely cleanliness or routine, it is self-leadership. It is the act of taking command of your inner and outer world, and with that command comes a feeling of control that chaos can never provide. Even small acts of organization, clearing a desk, outlining a day, arranging a schedule, carry a symbolic weight. They signal a shift from passivity to intentional living, from hoping to directing. And so, order becomes the soil in which achievement grows. It prepares the mind, steadies the emotions, and aligns daily actions with long-term purpose. It does not demand brilliance, only consistency. It does not require extraordinary talent, only the willingness to put one's life in deliberate and thoughtful arrangement. Discipline is the unseen force that separates those who merely wish from those who quietly and consistently achieve. It is not loud, nor dramatic, nor dependent on the unpredictable sparks of motivation. Instead, it works steadily, like the slow turning of a great wheel, shaping a person's destiny through repetition, commitment, and deliberate action. Most people wait for the right feeling before they act, believing that inspiration must precede effort. But the individuals who rise above the ordinary understand a profound truth: feeling follows action, not the other way around. Discipline begins when you choose to do what must be done regardless of how you feel in the moment. A great many people underestimate the power of this simple principle. They assume success is built upon passion, talent, or favorable circumstances, when in reality it is discipline that grants shape to every dream and structure to every ambition. A man with discipline becomes a force of nature, capable of directing his thoughts, his habits, and his hours with intention. A man without discipline becomes a prisoner of his impulses, endlessly swayed by mood, distraction, and convenience. One moves forward with purpose, the other drifts, hoping life will somehow arrange itself into meaning, but life never does. Order comes only to those who impose it. Discipline is the ability to act when excuses are loud, when comfort is tempting, and when the mind whispers that delay is harmless. It is in these moments, small, invisible moments, that a person's strength is formed. When the alarm rings, discipline is the voice that says, rise. When the task grows difficult, discipline says, continue. When emotions rebel and the path feels uncertain, discipline reminds you that your commitments are stronger than your moods. Through each of these moments, a quiet transformation takes place. The individual begins to trust himself. He proves through action that he can rely on his own word. Self-respect grows, and with it comes confidence, clarity, and an unwavering sense of direction. The disciplined person does not wait for ideal conditions because he knows that ideal conditions rarely appear. Instead, he creates progress by moving forward in imperfect moments. This simple ability, to act without approval from emotion, becomes a superpower. It turns ordinary individuals into remarkable achievers. It builds momentum, and momentum builds success. Over time, consistency compounds, and what once seemed difficult becomes natural. What once required effort becomes identity. The disciplined person no longer forces himself to act. He acts because action has become a part of who he is. Discipline is the bridge that carries a person from intention to execution, from dream to result. It transforms soft desires into solid outcomes. It molds character and sharpens focus. It grants a person the rare ability to steer his life rather than be carried by it. It is the silent partner of every great accomplishment, the force behind persistence, resilience, and growth. By choosing discipline daily, you begin to shape your destiny with your own hands. One deliberate action at a time. Your environment is far more than the space you occupy. It is a mirror of your inner world, a quiet but constant influence shaping your thoughts, your emotions, and the quality of your actions. Most people underestimate this relationship. They believe a messy desk is just a mess, a cluttered room just a minor inconvenience, and a disorganized space merely something to be tolerated. But nothing in your environment is neutral. Everything around you is either supporting your clarity or feeding your confusion. A person cannot expect peace in the midst of chaos, nor can he expect focused thought while surrounded by disorder. The mind takes cues from its surroundings, and the surroundings we allow tend to reflect the state of our inner life with remarkable accuracy. When you walk into a room that is cluttered, dusty, and disorganized, you feel a subtle heaviness. Your attention scatters. Your energy lowers. Even if the impact is small, it is not insignificant. Over time, these small drains on your focus accumulate, leaving you mentally fatigued long before real work has even begun. But when you enter a clean, orderly environment, one where everything has a place and distractions are minimized, there is a sense of calm, a feeling of readiness. The mind becomes alert, attentive, and receptive. This shift is not accidental. It is the result of your environment aligning with your intentions rather than competing with them. Cleanliness and organization are often misunderstood as mere chores, tasks to be completed only when convenient. But when viewed correctly, they are tools, powerful tools that shape your mental landscape. To organize your space is to declare, I am in command here. It is an act of self-leadership, a demonstration of control, discipline, and purpose. When you clean, you are not simply rearranging objects. You are clearing the mental pathways through which your thoughts will travel. You are creating a place where focus can thrive and creativity can expand. You are removing the subtle friction that prevents progress. The remarkable thing is that even the smallest act of tidying can create a noticeable psychological shift. Straightening papers, clearing a desk, or sweeping a floor can give the mind a renewed sense of order. These actions may seem insignificant, but they carry symbolic weight. They reinforce to yourself that you are someone who takes control rather than tolerating chaos. This self-image becomes powerful, influencing your behavior far beyond the physical space. Soon you begin to organize more than your surroundings. You begin to organize your thoughts, your priorities, your time. Your environment also communicates with your subconscious. When you surround yourself with order, your mind interprets it as stability, preparedness, and readiness for growth. When you allow clutter to dominate, the mind perceives it as confusion, unfinished business, and unresolved tasks. One state supports progress, the other slowly erodes it. And while a person may try to ignore the impact, the effect is always there, quietly shaping mood and behavior. In arranging your environment, you shape your life. In bringing order to your space, you cultivate the mental discipline required for clarity and achievement. And when your surroundings begin to reflect your highest intentions, you find yourself moving steadily toward them, almost as if the environment itself is guiding you forward. Discipline is the bridge between dreams and reality, the invisible force that transforms vague intentions into tangible results. Most people misunderstand it, thinking of discipline as restriction, as a form of punishment, or a cold set of rules imposed upon the self. But that is not the truth. True discipline is freedom, the freedom to direct your life with precision, to act in accordance with purpose rather than impulse. It is the quiet, steadfast engine behind every accomplishment, the silent architect constructing a life of achievement. When a man learns to discipline himself, he gains control over his time, his energy, and ultimately his destiny. He no longer drifts through life, buffeted by whims and emotions, but moves with intention and direction. Each act of discipline, no matter how small, compounds into momentum, shaping character, reinforcing confidence, and building a foundation upon which success rests. Consider the simple choices that confront every individual daily. The alarm rings, and the voice inside whispers for a few more minutes of rest. To the untrained mind, this seems trivial, but to the disciplined mind, it is a test of character, an opportunity to prove to oneself that purpose outweighs comfort. Every small decision, every moment when action is chosen over hesitation, strengthens the muscle of discipline. And it is a muscle that grows with exercise, that becomes easier the more it is used. Soon doing what must be done, even when fatigue, doubt, or distraction are present, becomes second nature. The person who masters this becomes unstoppable because his actions are no longer dependent upon fleeting motivation or temporary emotion. He moves because movement has become his nature, because he has trained his mind to obey intention rather than impulse. Discipline is also about consistency, the relentless repetition of the right actions. Talent may ignite passion, but it is discipline that sustains progress. It is discipline that ensures the athlete trains while others sleep, that the writer writes when inspiration is absent, and that the entrepreneur works methodically while the world waits for miracles. It is the steady force that carries a man through boredom, fatigue, and adversity. Without it, even the most brilliant ideas remain unfulfilled, even the most ambitious plans dissolve under the weight of inconsistency. But with discipline, ordinary effort is transformed into extraordinary results, small actions accumulate into remarkable achievements, and the seemingly impossible becomes inevitable. Moreover, discipline shapes the inner life as much as it shapes external circumstances. When a man honors his commitments, when he keeps his word to himself and others, he cultivates trust in his own abilities. This trust becomes the foundation of confidence, and confidence drives action. Each victory over laziness, over hesitation, over distraction, reinforces the sense that he is the master of his life. He no longer negotiates with weakness, he commands his habits, his mind, his environment. In this state, fear diminishes, procrastination loses its grip, and focus sharpens. The disciplined mind sees opportunity where others see chaos, takes action where others hesitate, and creates results where others merely wish. In learning discipline, a man discovers that he is not a victim of circumstance, but the deliberate architect of his own life, and that mastery over self is the greatest power he can ever wield. Every minute of your life carries a weight far greater than most people realize. Time is the most valuable currency you possess, the one resource that cannot be earned back once it slips through your fingers. Yet, countless individuals allow it to be wasted in disorder, in distraction, in indecision. They drift through their days as if time were infinite, oblivious to the fact that every second spent without focus is a second stolen from their dreams, from their destiny. The person who understands the true value of time is the person who commands it, who structures it, who invests it with intention. Each day, each hour, each minute is an opportunity to move closer to the life you imagine. But squander it, and the gap between where you are and where you want to be widens, imperceptibly but inevitably, until one day you wake up to realize that your dreams have grown cold while you were distracted by trivialities and delays. Think about how often time is lost to indecision, to procrastination, to waiting for the perfect moment. The unprepared man waits for inspiration, for motivation, for conditions that may never come. He believes that somehow the world will pause for him to get ready, that circumstances will align to make success easy. But that is a fallacy, and it is the reason so many people never reach their potential. The prepared individual understands that opportunity favors the organized, that the world rewards those who plan, who guard their minutes as if they were precious coins, and who invest them with purpose. When you take control of your schedule, you take control of your life. You no longer allow your environment, your emotions, or your distractions to dictate the pace of your day. Instead, you become deliberate, measured, precise. You build your hours around your highest priorities, your focus becomes sharper, And your energy is multiplied because it is no longer scattered on what does not matter. Every task you complete, every plan you execute, every hour you structure with intention compounds into momentum. Momentum is the invisible force that separates those who wish from those who achieve, those who drift from those who conquer. One organized day builds a habit, one habit builds a routine, one routine builds a life. And the life that is built intentionally is the life that produces results. It is the life that transforms potential into achievement, dreams into reality. The disciplined use of time is the single most effective strategy to rise above mediocrity, to outpace competition, and to create an existence of impact and significance. Yet, controlling time requires vigilance. It requires awareness of where your minutes go, a willingness to cut out distractions, to eliminate anything that does not serve your goals. It requires the courage to face discomfort, to deny short-term pleasures for the sake of long-term gain, to act when it is easier to rest, when it is easier to delay. Every moment spent consciously organizing your life is an investment, not an inconvenience. Every second devoted to clarity, to focus, to order, strengthens your ability to act decisively. When you value time as the precious resource it is, you begin to see your environment, your habits, your actions through a lens of efficiency, power, and purpose. You realize that minutes are not trivial. They are the building blocks of destiny, the currency with which your future is purchased. The power of routine is often underestimated, yet it is the quiet engine behind every great achievement. You see, most people wander through life hoping that inspiration will strike, hoping that motivation will suddenly appear to guide them, to push them forward. But the truth is that motivation is fleeting, unreliable, and entirely dependent on emotion, and emotion is a poor master. The individual who understands the importance of routine recognizes that success is not a matter of waiting for feeling ready. It is a matter of showing up consistently, day after day, hour after hour, and building a structure around their life that carries them even when desire wanes. Routine is the scaffolding that holds your dreams in place while you build them. It is the framework within which excellence becomes inevitable. Without it, talent is wasted, potential fades, and opportunity slips quietly past while you remain reactive instead of proactive. A strong routine gives your day shape, your mind focus, and your actions precision. When you rise in the morning with a plan, when you organize your time in deliberate blocks, when you know exactly what must be done, and when you are no longer a victim of distraction or whim, each action becomes purposeful. Each hour becomes productive. And in this structure, momentum is born. The small decisions you make consistently, waking up on time, completing tasks, maintaining your environment, reviewing your goals, may seem insignificant in isolation, but over weeks and months they compound into results so substantial that they appear almost magical to those who do not understand the process. That is the power of routine. It transforms ordinary effort into extraordinary outcomes. Routine also shields you from the chaos of life, from the unpredictability that so often leads others astray. When your day is governed by order, when habits are deliberately chosen rather than accidentally followed, you are no longer tossed about by circumstance. You act with intent instead of reaction. You plan before you move instead of scrambling to catch up. Each habit you build becomes a building block of your character, a reinforcement of your discipline, a proof that you are in control of your life. The person who masters routine understands that freedom is not the absence of structure. It is the ability to operate within it. True liberty comes from being so organized, so disciplined, so habitual in your actions that you can wield your time and energy like a weapon, attacking your goals with precision and consistency. The beauty of routine is that it removes reliance on fleeting motivation. It turns action into a habit, and habit into an automatic response. You don't wait for inspiration. You create it by showing up, by doing the work, by adhering to the process. Your environment, your schedule, and your mental focus become allies in your pursuit of greatness. Even when the world is chaotic, even when emotions waver, routine is your anchor. It keeps you steady, it keeps you moving, and it ensures that no matter the distractions or temptations, you continue progressing toward your purpose. Consistency in routine is the great differentiator between those who merely dream and those who achieve. Every small repetition builds confidence, sharpens focus, and strengthens your ability to act decisively. Every morning that you rise and follow your plan, every evening that you review and refine, you fortify your power to control your destiny. Routine does not simply structure your time. It structures your mind, your habits, and ultimately, your life. Discipline is the silent force that separates those who achieve from those who merely wish. It is the bridge between dreams and reality, the invisible hand that turns intention into action. You see, most people live their lives at the mercy of their feelings. They wait for motivation, they wait for inspiration. They wait for the right moment, believing that success will somehow fall into their laps when the stars align and circumstances are perfect. But the truth is, the stars rarely align. Circumstances are seldom perfect. And if you wait for them, you will wait forever. Discipline, however, is always available. It does not care about your mood, it does not bend to your doubts, it does not falter in the face of discomfort. It demands consistency, it rewards persistence, and it builds power where hope and desire alone would falter. Discipline begins in thought, before it manifests in action. It is the decision to rise when the alarm rings, even when your body aches and your mind protests. It is the choice to move forward, to do the work, to follow through when every fiber of your being whispers to quit. The lazy voice that says, "I'll do it later," is the enemy of progress. You must confront it, not with argument or negotiation, but with immediate, decisive action. Every time you silence that voice, every time you act in spite of resistance, you forge a new link in the chain of your own strength. Discipline is the architect of character. Each choice to act consistently, each commitment kept to yourself, builds self-respect and confidence. It teaches you that your word is your bond, that your actions define your reality, and that your potential is only as strong as your ability to execute when it is difficult. When you live with discipline, you begin to see life differently. You stop chasing fleeting bursts of motivation and start investing in long-term power. You stop reacting to circumstance and start directing your course. Every hour becomes an opportunity to reinforce your habits, sharpen your focus, and strengthen your resolve. The man who obeys his mind, who governs his habits, who controls his time, becomes unstoppable because he no longer relies on the unpredictable whims of emotion. He has created a system that ensures progress regardless of circumstance, a fortress of order within which achievement is inevitable. Discipline is also the quiet engine behind mastery. Every great athlete, every successful entrepreneur, every visionary who has left a mark on the world has understood this truth. They are not superhuman, they are simply consistent. They understand that repetition builds skill, that focus builds momentum, and that persistence builds results. Even when passion fades, discipline carries them forward. It keeps them moving when excitement dies. It ensures that each day is productive, each moment purposeful, and each action aligned with their ultimate goals. The power of discipline extends beyond achievement. It shapes your mind, strengthens your character, and gives you freedom. True freedom is not the ability to do whatever you want. It is the ability to do what must be done. To master yourself so that you are no longer enslaved by distractions, temptations, or weakness. The disciplined man is not pulled in 1,000 directions by fleeting desires. He is guided by purpose. He acts because it is right, because it is necessary, because it is the path to the life he envisions. In this way, discipline is not restriction, it is liberation. It is the force that transforms ordinary lives into extraordinary ones. Focus is the key that unlocks the doors of achievement. It is not something you stumble upon by chance, it is a skill, a discipline, a conscious decision to direct your attention where it matters most. You see, most people drift through life as though tossed about by the wind, reacting to every distraction, following every impulse, and chasing every fleeting desire. They think they are busy, yet their lives are full of scattered energy and wasted time. True success, the kind that transforms dreams into reality, belongs to those who learn to concentrate their efforts with precision, who understand that energy scattered is power wasted, and power wasted is opportunity lost. Focus begins with clarity. You must know exactly what you want, what your goals are, and what your priorities should be. Without this clarity, your mind will become a battlefield, a place where thoughts clash, distractions reign, and decisions are postponed. The world will pull at you from every side: emails, notifications, trivial tasks, the endless stream of information designed to fragment your attention. If you allow it, these interruptions will rob you of your potential. But when you have clarity, when your mind is set on a definite purpose, you can wield focus like a scalpel, cutting through the noise and directing your energy toward meaningful action. To focus effectively, you must create an environment that supports it. Your space, your time, your schedule. They must all be arranged to minimize distractions and maximize productive engagement. A cluttered desk is more than just a messy room. It is a reflection of a cluttered mind, and a cluttered mind cannot produce greatness. The disciplined person understands that focus is fragile and must be protected. They guard it as a treasure, allocate their hours to the tasks that matter most, and say no to the endless parade of trivialities that would steal their energy. Each moment spent in undivided attention compounds over time, creating momentum that turns small actions into extraordinary results. Focus also requires courage. the courage to resist the temptation of immediate gratification, the courage to push through discomfort, and the courage to persist when the mind and body cry for rest. It is the willingness to do what others will not, to remain steadfast while others are distracted, and to invest energy in long-term results rather than short-term pleasure. Focus is not passive, it is an active choice, a deliberate act of self-command. It transforms intention into accomplishment and potential into achievement. Perhaps most importantly, focus is intimately connected with the concept of time. Time is the currency of life, and every minute you allow your attention to wander is a minute lost forever. Those who master focus multiply the value of their hours. They take control of their minutes, channel their energy toward purposeful action, and build results that compound day after day. The man who can focus his mind can achieve more in a week than the distracted man achieves in a year, not because he is more talented, but because he directs his energy where it counts. Focus, once mastered, becomes a force multiplier. It sharpens your thoughts, intensifies your efforts, and accelerates your progress. It allows you to move with intention, to act decisively, and to achieve more with less effort. It turns ordinary work into extraordinary results, and it separates the average from the exceptional. The disciplined mind that cultivates focus can accomplish in hours what the scattered mind wastes in months, transforming ordinary days into stepping stones toward greatness. Discipline is the bridge between dreams and reality, the quiet force that turns intention into action and action into achievement. It is not something bestowed upon a lucky few. It is cultivated, nurtured, and exercised every single day. Many people live under the illusion that motivation alone will carry them to success, that the occasional surge of inspiration will be enough to accomplish great things. But let me tell you, motivation is fleeting, like the morning fog that disappears under the heat of the sun. Discipline, on the other hand, endures. Discipline keeps you moving when excitement fades, when enthusiasm wanes, and when the world seems indifferent to your aspirations. It is the constant, the anchor that ensures you continue to progress even when circumstances are less than perfect. To understand discipline, you must first understand control. Discipline is self-mastery, the ability to command your actions regardless of your emotions, your fatigue, or your doubts. The untrained mind rebels at discomfort. It seeks the easiest path, the softest chair, the tempting distraction. But the disciplined mind says, I will do what must be done, and it does. It acts in spite of resistance. It moves forward even when every fiber of the body cries to stop. And in this very act of moving forward, you build strength, resilience, and power over your own life. Every time you resist the urge to quit, every time you choose action over procrastination, you reinforce a habit that compounds into extraordinary results. Discipline is not about punishment or restriction, it is about liberation. The man who allows himself to be led by impulse is a slave to circumstance, his life at the mercy of moods, distractions, and fleeting desires. The man who cultivates discipline is free. Free because he has trained himself to act in alignment with purpose. Free because he no longer waits for the perfect moment. Free because he can achieve results regardless of external conditions. Discipline turns chaos into order, wasted effort into meaningful progress, and ordinary routines into powerful momentum that carries you toward your goals. Consistency is the engine of discipline. It is the repetition of deliberate actions day after day that builds the foundation of greatness. It is the early mornings, the late nights, the completion of tasks when you would rather rest, the doing of what is necessary even when it is uncomfortable. Great people are not extraordinary because they are more talented, they are extraordinary because they are consistent. They have harnessed the power of discipline, and they understand that small, repeated actions accumulate into massive results over time. Discipline also teaches patience, for the rewards of structured effort are rarely immediate. It is the ability to persist when the fruits of labor are invisible, to maintain effort when results seem distant, and to trust that the compounding effect of persistent action will yield the outcomes you seek. The disciplined person does not act for instant gratification but for lasting achievement. They understand that every task completed, every commitment honored, every habit mastered adds to a reservoir of power that one day manifests in extraordinary accomplishments. It is important to remember that discipline strengthens character. It builds confidence, self-respect, and trust in one's own abilities. Each act of discipline reinforces the truth that you are in command of your life, that you are capable of achieving what you set out to achieve, and that your destiny is not determined by chance but by choice. The disciplined mind focuses, acts, and persists, creating a life of order, progress, and purpose. Time is the most valuable resource you will ever possess, yet it is also the most easily squandered. It is impartial, relentless, and unforgiving. The clock never slows for the weary, and it never waits for the unprepared. Every second that passes is either an investment in your future or a loss you can never reclaim. Most people wander through life as if time were abundant, wasting precious moments on trivial distractions, procrastination, and indecision, never realizing that each minute is a soldier marching toward either their success or their failure. You see, it is not the grand gestures, the rare strokes of luck, or the bursts of inspiration that ultimately determine your life. It is the consistent, deliberate management of every single moment. To master time is to master life itself. The disciplined person understands that each hour has potential far greater than we often imagine. A single focused hour can achieve more than an entire day spent in distraction. Every task, every decision, every act of planning compounds, building momentum that propels you toward your goals. When you respect time, when you guard it as you would a treasure, you begin to see results multiply. Conversely, neglect time, and you will find that life slips past you, opportunities vanish, and dreams remain unfulfilled. Time is impartial, it rewards preparation and punishes negligence without mercy. Managing your time effectively begins with awareness. You must see it for what it truly is, a finite and priceless currency. Each morning presents you with 140 minutes, and how you spend them will define the trajectory of your life. The organized person plans, prioritizes, and executes, treating each minute as an investment in their future. The unorganized person drifts, allowing each minute to slip through their fingers, lost to indecision, distraction, and chaos. It is in these small decisions, the seemingly insignificant choices of what to do and what not to do, that time either becomes your ally or your adversary. Time demands that you act with intention. To squander it is to waste the very substance of life itself. The moment you delay, the moment you allow disorder to dominate your schedule, you rob yourself of power, clarity, and progress. Every delay, every missed opportunity, every unfinished task chips away at your potential, creating a compounding deficit that grows over weeks, months, and years. Yet the disciplined mind recognizes that time can be transformed into a tool, a force of enormous potential through deliberate structure, focus, and action. Understanding time also means understanding priorities. Not all minutes are equal. Some require intense focus, careful planning, and unwavering commitment, while others may be spent on rest and recovery to maintain long-term efficiency. The wise person knows how to balance action with reflection, labor with learning, and work with rest, by assigning value to each moment, by protecting it from distraction, and by aligning it with purpose. Time becomes an instrument of power. Ultimately, mastering time is mastering your destiny. The person who controls their minutes controls their hours, and the person who controls their hours shapes their days. The days, repeated day after day, determine the life you lead. The unprepared allow time to dictate their actions, the disciplined command it, turning every minute into a building block of achievement, and every action into a step toward the extraordinary life they envision. If we step back and look at the journey we've just traveled together, one truth emerges above all else. Your life is a direct reflection of the order, discipline, and control you bring to it. Chaos is the silent thief of potential, distractions are the unseen chains that hold you back, and wasted minutes are the currency of dreams deferred. But the opposite is equally true. Structure multiplies your energy, discipline shapes your character, and intentional action transforms every moment into a stepping stone toward greatness. Every extraordinary achievement, every story of success begins not with luck or talent, but with a consistent commitment to control what you can: your time, your thoughts, your habits, and your environment. You cannot wait for motivation to arrive. You must create it through daily choices, through repeated acts of order and deliberate action. You cannot leave your life to chance. You must plan, prioritize, and execute with precision. The power to transform your life is in your hands. Each moment you invest in clarity, each hour you dedicate to focused effort, each day you live intentionally compounds into a life of mastery and fulfillment. Discipline is not restriction, it is freedom. Order is not limitation, it is the framework through which your potential can flourish. Time, once respected and harnessed, becomes your most loyal ally, propelling you forward when the world seems chaotic and uncertain. The question is not whether you can rise, it is whether you will. Will you allow disorder to dictate your destiny, or will you seize control of your minutes, hours, and days to create the life you were meant to live? Will you choose the easy path of distraction and delay, or the demanding but infinitely rewarding path of structure, discipline, and purposeful action? Your future does not belong to chance. It belongs to those who prepare, who act, who refuse to let chaos and procrastination stand in the way of their dreams. Today, right now, you have the opportunity to take control. to bring order to your life, to sharpen your mind, to focus your energy, and to build the foundation upon which extraordinary success is inevitable. The life you desire is not a distant fantasy. It is the natural outcome of the choices you make, the discipline you practice, and the order you impose on your world. Now the decision is yours, and every moment that passes carries you closer to either greatness or regret. The time to act is not tomorrow. The time to act is now.